Hello everyone, welcome. My name is Jenny Munn and I'm the Professional Development Chair for BMA Atlanta. We are the Business Marketing Association, a group for B2B marketers here in Atlanta and nationwide. I run our professional and ongoing education webinars. I'd love for you to follow us on Twitter. We are at BMA Atlanta. Our website is bmaatlanta.org, and today I'm very honored to bring to you guys all the way from Australia, Bernadette McClelland. She's going to share with us a little bit about brand leadership and how that ties into being an authority. Bernadette, I'd love for you to talk to us a little bit about you and your background and what we're going to talk about today.
Awesome. Well, first of all, thanks so much, Jenny, for inviting me along here. For the people who are watching, I just want to let you know, in Australia at the moment, it is 5 a.m. in the morning. And so I just want to say a big g'day from Australia. So thanks very much. And I work with mid-sized companies, and I am a sales leadership consultant and a speaker. And so part of my charter, I guess, comes from my experience. Back in the days, I worked for 20-odd years with Fuji Xerox in senior sales executive roles, companies like Kodak and Computer Associates. But I've also had my own bricks and mortar small business, and also imported from China. So I've got the corporate experience, plus I've also got the small to medium sized business experience, and also now running my own business. So there's those three categories, if you like, of business development, which I'm quite familiar with now. So in my role today, I work very, very closely with sales teams and with sales leaders, and helping the sales leaders generate income from their team. So we were actually aligning and bridging the corporate goals and the corporate KPIs that the leaders have, and bridging that with the revenue potential of the team. And so it's a wonderful world to be in, and sales is my passion. And yes, definitely look forward to speaking with you today and sharing some ideas.
Wonderful, good. Well, there's so much crossover as marketers. We talk all the time about the relationship between sales and marketing and how to always improve it and always just achieving more objectives and ROI. So as we mentioned today, we are going to talk about the 3 ways to showcase day-to-day leadership at the speed of marketing. So Bernadette, when we were going back and forth and talking about what I wanted to get out of this and some of the expertise you have, and we kind of mesh this together, I'd love for you to open it up and tell me about why you think this topic is relevant today, and as far as leadership, what does it have to do with corporate leadership and branding, and how does that mesh with personal branding and leadership as well?
I think, Jenny, that when we pull together all of the I guess the skills that are needed today, in my opinion, it boils down to 3 different types of leadership. And in the world of selling, I call it the sales triad. And I mean, we could convert that across to marketing as well. But what we're looking at there is the ability for the marketers, or the B2B marketers, or the B2B salespeople. And you're right, there is a crossover today. Marketers need to really align themselves with sales, and sales really need to align themselves with marketing, and that meshing does occur. And I think for that to really to be rolled out seamlessly and effortlessly, I think that everyone today needs to understand a little bit about the personal leadership skills that are involved as a foundation, and the way that they approach or go to market. I also think that what you focus on in your day-to-day life, or the messaging, is around your thought leadership. And finally is, from an outcome perspective, it's the sales leadership. Or the marketing leadership, because at the end of the day, we're all selling something, whether it's an idea, whether it's just internally within our company where we're selling ourselves. So it really is aligning the personal leadership and the thought leadership and the sales or the marketing leadership together. So that's probably where I want to kind of take the conversation today, or address a couple of ideas within each of those categories today. So yeah.
Wonderful. Well, I'd love to talk about aligning the brand with the individuals, and then also marketing and sales. Can you talk a little bit about branding in your opinion? And then also, we had talked about you were going to share an example of a company that wasn't aligned to its brand. I'd love to hear a little bit about a real-life case study.
So first and foremost, I think from B2B marketers' perspective, when we think about, okay, who is the real custodian of the brand? Who owns the brand? Whose responsibility is the brand? And typically within a company, and it doesn't matter what size company it is, we tend to look at the CMO or the marketing department or the C-level as the ones that drive it. And yes, from a top-down approach, I think the marketing department or the marketers do actually create the framework. They create the message and what goes with that. But I think also, the responsibility of marketing is also to filter it down and to teach everybody within the company or everybody within the organisation just what the message is. Just what the overarching theme or what the promise to the buyer actually is, so that everybody is aligned. And that's from the C-level, to the guy who opens the door, to, the customer service person on the phone, or, even the salespeople. It's everybody. So I think we're always displaying the brand of the company. And, I actually thought it likened me to, I went to an all-girls Catholic college, and within the walls of the school, so you could say that was internally, we had rules around our uniform. We had to wear our black slippers. If we didn't, we were disciplined. Outside the walls of the business or outside the walls of the school, we had to wear our gloves. We had to wear our hat. We had to have our blazer buttoned up. We were not allowed to eat food at all on the street. And it's like, well, why was that? At the time, we just thought that it was rules, but really, the prospective parents, of the next generation of kids were watching us kids. And so we were the brand of the school, and we stood for something. And so, if we use that analogy, every single one of us in our workplace is the brand. So we might think, well, marketing as a department is top down. Yes, that's true, but bottom up is critical as well, as far as, walking the talk and being our message to the world.
Right. Oh, that is a great example. I mean, when you think there's really examples all around us about that, but I certainly don't stop and think about it from that perspective. So I love that. Now, do you have examples, and of course you can certainly speak anonymously. I know you work with clients, like you mentioned, mid-sized to bigger clients. What are the biggest challenges they have around just showcasing the brand and making it work, whether from bottom up or top down? I'd love to hear about what you're seeing out there.
Well, I suppose first and foremost, if we think about, what is a brand, and we think, well, it really is creating a customer experience, or it's creating some form of customer intimacy, so that that promise is being met. And interestingly enough, the Gallup put out a survey, and what they brought back in was that 41% of employees in an organisation do not know what the promise of that company is or what the brand stands for. And so from my perspective, when I deal with salespeople, that is a real issue, because out there in the competitive landscape, the competitive market, in order to differentiate yourself, our buyers expect us to be able to articulate or to tell a story or to be able to define what we do that's different. So if you've got 41% of employees not able to articulate that, and they're client-facing, then typically what happens is those conversations default to product conversations. And once you get to that product conversation, then you automatically commoditize what you've got, and it becomes, a race to the bottom based on price. So from a commercial perspective, being able to understand the message of what your brand stands for and what it doesn't stand for is critical from a revenue generating perspective. And so we talked about examples. Well, I mean, you're right. The world is filled with examples. I'm just off the top of my head now. I'm thinking of Subway. You know, over here in Australia, I think it was in Perth, a couple of school kids bought a foot-long sub, and they took it home and they measured it, and it was only 11 inches. You know, and so all of a sudden now with Twitter and social media and all the rest of it, I think they had 100,000, hits on that tweet in a matter of hours. And what Subway came back and they said, well, you know what, we were being creative with our branding, and it's like, well, hang on, that's really not aligned to the message that you've put out. So the world is filled with different examples there. But another, just a little example, but I think it brings it back to normal everyday conversations, is I found a new hairdresser. This is going back a couple of years, and I know it sounds really silly, but I went and I was just in this mood where I just wanted to be pampered. And so, I've gone in there and they've given a cup of coffee and the chocolate biscuit, and it was like, wow, chocolate biscuit. I've gone back the next time and all of a sudden there's no chocolate biscuit. So, I know it sounds silly, but that was a branding, that was a promise, that was a message that differentiated that hairdresser from everybody else. And, of course, the next time that I went back, it was lost. So, it really does come back to how do you articulate your brand, what does it stand for, and are you actually displaying it?
I love that. That's really good. And I'm thinking about all these examples now of real life, and it's not like it's a very direct impact when you think about inconsistencies in how we interact and engage with brands. But certainly I think psychological, it does play an impact, and it's so important these days to be able to differentiate so you do stand out and you're not just competing based on price, because that's the last thing I know salespeople and marketers want to face.
Exactly, and ultimately, if we go deeper than that again, it's our own personal brand. So, if we are, from a company perspective, if we're looking from top down and bottom up, then what is a personal brand? And yes, it can be the way you dress, and it can be the way you speak, and all of those external things. But I think also, if you're in a group of people, you belong to a team, you're part of a company, it's how you collaborate with people, it's how you respond, and I think probably three key things there I tend to think of when I work with my clients, and we kind of touch on the personal branding. It's first and foremost, be you. Just totally be who you are. Don't try to be somebody that you think you should be. And I think it was Scott Kirshner, who was the innovation columnist for the Boston Globe. He quoted and he said that he would much rather speak directly, and I'm paraphrasing here, where he would much rather speak directly with somebody at the front line rather than have a PR company come in. So he gets more from just her real life communication and interaction with a real person rather than the word that gets put out, from a legalized type perspective. So I think just being yourself, and secondly is getting known for something. So entrepreneurs, we know that we can get known for our expertise, but within a company, what is it that you can be known for? Are you, from a sales perspective, can you be known for being, the expert in a particular product? From a financial perspective, can you be known as being, if you're an accountant, based on tax? So what is it that you can be known for? And then the third component of that, I think, is to be being seen, is to put yourself out there. And we've got social now as a brilliant vehicle for marketing, individuals and, companies. So be seen. So be you, be known and be seen.
I love that. And I think everything with why storytelling is so big now, and just transparency. I think it's just one of the most important things, and having a little personality. I know that businesses in the past, at least in what I do, when they used to write websites, they would talk in third person, and they would try to sound so much bigger than they are, and it would be the company or the team, and now it's you want to talk more one-on-one with people, like you just mentioned. People would rather talk with someone who is authentic and being themselves than, the face, the PR too official. So I completely agree, and I think we're seeing that more and more. It's all about personality and being yourself and just being transparent.
Yeah, totally, totally. I agree.
Wonderful. So the next point I know that we had wanted to talk about, and I love this title, Stop Barking and Start Wagging Your Tail When Crazy Busy. That is, I know, a theme I wanted to bring across for BMA, for our Atlanta marketers and our members. Busyness is just, it's the thing right now. People are so busy. I was talking with some marketers the other day, and they're like, I don't even have time to go to the bathroom, let alone lead my staff better. I sit at my desk every day for lunch. They're working longer and crazy hours. So can you talk to me a little bit about what you're seeing out there with your clients and just the businesses and what causes all that barking in today's busy world?
Yeah, and you know, and I must admit, marketers are flat chat. I will give it to you. I mean, you're getting it from the top, you're getting it from the clients, you're getting it from the staff, everybody. So, but you know, it comes back also to the meaning that you're actually putting on busy. Because we can be flat out busy and we don't have to bark, you know, we don't have to get stressed. We can actually, if we're enjoying something, we can ride with being busy and it can work for us. And there's actually working really quickly and being that frantic, crazy busy, there's actually a survey that was put out. It was through Harvard that I actually read it actually, and it was a speed index, and it was they interviewed around 50,000 leaders, and what they were doing was they were measuring the effectiveness of leadership against speed. And there were three things that they looked for. It was how well they spotted problems and issues, how they responded in the moment, and how they adapted. And out of that, I think they whittled it down to about 5,000 leaders, and they realised that 2% of those leaders were frantic busy, but were not effective. And 3% were deliberate, and they were slow, and that people trusted them, and they were considered effective. But then 95% were considered both effective and fast. And so what that's telling us, that being good is only marginally better than being fast, but today we need to be good and fast. And so it's like, well, okay, how do you do that? What are the factors involved there? And so what we need to look at we need to understand that people need to trust us, and so therefore relationships are critical. We need to have a purpose, and we need to be, you know, moving forward with a purpose, because if we've all got something aligned that we're working towards, then we're going to be a lot more wagging our tails, so to speak. You know, there's got to be building that world-class expertise, because when you can do that and you're in an environment that does that, that brings people along with you. You know, being bold and being courageous and you know, being able to say, hey, you know what, I'm not quite sure, I don't know what I'm doing here, or you're going to move and you're going to make a mistake. That is a lot better than just sitting there and just pondering and plodding along, as so many do. And of course, setting stretch goals, because when we set a stretch goal, that tends to have us moving faster, but on purpose. But we come back to, you know, eating at your desk and being crazy busy. I think the key thing there also is to take time out for yourself and to, you know, to give some time to yourself, because the reality is everybody is crazy busy today. But also if you really just kind of take it back a step and be really on purpose and know exactly what you can do and what you can't do, and be quite realistic about it.
Oh, I love that, because, you know, one of my favorite books, it's called Essentialism by Greg McKeown. You know, he talks about this crazy busy, and as long as you're doing the right busy things, it's all about knowing what you should and should be doing. And he really advocates saying no. Just being able to push back. So do you advise your clients to say no? Does that ever come across, or is everybody just, is this a very yes society these days? I'd love to hear your take on that.
Yeah, you know what I share with my clients is say no to the task, but say yes to the person. And so what you're doing there is you're not saying no to the person, so you're actually saying no to the task because you're quite in control of what you're doing. You understand what your priorities are, And I think that if you can get to that space where you can be courageous enough to say no to somebody, they will respect you a lot more, but they will also respect your time a lot more. So no to the task, yes to the person.
I love that. It's very diplomatic of you. That's a great way to take away from that. Anything else about this? Any other takeaways for people who are just so crazy busy? What can they start implementing today to, like you said, being busy is good, but it has to be the right busyness. Any other takeaways for people?
Yeah, you know what, being slow and kind of falling behind the ball is kind of a bit boring, and being really fast is frantic. There is a middle of the road, and I think that if you we talked about transparency before, if you can be big enough in yourself and tap into your personal leadership skills enough to be able to say, I need help, or you know what, I don't know 100% what I'm doing, just to be totally real and ask for advice and ask for help. But I understand also that everybody's busy sometimes, but that's up to you also, I believe, to be able to learn some new skills and to be able to start to develop your own professional development a little bit more to help you move forward in your career.
Oh, that's really great. I like that. I like that a lot. It's good advice. Okay,
Beautiful.
good. So the next point then I know that we wanted to make sure we touched on was how to join the dots and the docs and thinking outside the square. And I'd love to hear a little bit about what that is for you and share with everybody about what that means.
So joining the dots and joining the docs. So, you know, we're talking today about thought leadership, and we're talking about, you know, we hear a lot about content and, you know, curation and content creation and social and what social brings to us. And I think today, you know, for anybody, I think to have some form of a thought leadership strategy from a business perspective is a commitment. It's a real commitment, and I know that there's a lot of angst at the moment, you know, with marketing and with sales, and, well, you know, do we give salespeople the pen so that they can go out and write what they want, and, you know, or is it marketing's responsibility to create some form of the strategy for content marketing, and how does all of that work? You know, because what we're looking at there is anybody today can become known for a topic, and to be, you know, an out-of-the-box thinker, so to speak. But I think also it's really all about how do we bring value to our buyer, and how do we utilize the vehicles that are there for us to allow us to do that. Now, I know Forrester did a survey across B2B marketers, and 85% it showed up that they aren't able to tie the content of their product or their service with the value of the end user. And so what that means is there's no insights that the buyer can actually act on. And so once again, it's how do you join those dots through documents or through content, so that the end buyer can actually see the value that your company is providing. You know, what are some of those insights? You know, what are some of those ideas? What are some of those takeaways that the buyers can look at you and differentiate themselves from? So today, you know, we look at white papers being put out. We look at YouTube. You know, we look at LinkedIn Pulse is, you know, publications on LinkedIn Pulse. Now, I've been doing an experiment there where I've been regularly, quite prolifically, putting out long copy. And you know, the results on that from me personally are phenomenal. So what do we use social for when we're joining the dots? What do we use our content for? It's not to sell. So we cannot use it directly to sell. It's an engagement tool. And so personally, from my perspective, the amount of appointments and phone calls and coffee chats that I've generated, which further down the track, you know, will turn into potential business. I'm coming to Atlanta in May, and, you know, I've set up half a dozen appointments through LinkedIn, you know, and it's using the vehicles that are there for us. So my thought leadership is used on those platforms. And so for today, you know, how does somebody do that? So what do you do, and what can I give you as a shortcut in order to be able to learn for the listeners to create their own content? So without going into a whole heap of proprietary stuff, if the listeners can take away 4 key points, so there, to create their own thought leadership, how do you do that? In 1980, there was a woman called Bernice McCarthy, and she created what's known as the format system. So if you were to draw a 4-quadrant, and you took this model as a tool, if you're able to articulate, if you put in the top right-hand quadrant the word why, and that is the purpose. So what is the purpose behind the piece that you are writing about? You then go to the bottom right-hand quadrant. That is the point. What is the point you want to make? That is the what. So what is it that you're talking about? The left-hand bottom quadrant is what is the practicality? So how do you actually do that? What are the steps? So people want prescriptive ideas as well. And so to give them 1, 2, and 3, and this is how you do it. And then the top left-hand quadrant is the path forward, or what known as what if. And so you want to wrap up your thought leadership piece with some form of direction in the future or context. So if anyone wants to Google that, it's called the format system, Bernice McCarthy, and that's just a quick, down and dirty kind of tool that you can use to create your own publications or your own writings.
I love that, and I was frantically scribbling. You have to tell me if that's right. My handwriting, but I love that as a way to do content marketing the right way. And are you seeing that your salespeople and your clients, they really do, they want to contribute to this, and they want to be a part of it, and they want to put their own thought leadership out there? Are you seeing that more and more?
I'm seeing people want to do it, but I'm seeing people are too scared to do it.
Why is that?
So it's fear. It comes back to the mindset, and that's where the whole loop. We start with personal leadership, and we come back, and we've got to end up with personal leadership. And so it's like people today, in order to differentiate themselves, need to put themselves out there. But very few do, and it is scary. For some people, I remember the first time that I blogged, put an article out on Pulse on LinkedIn's publisher. It was like, send, publish. So it comes back to that whole fear thing. What if I'm not good enough? What are people going to think? What if I've made a mistake? For somebody to sit and do a Google Hangout. This is my first one, by the way, so thank you for this. But a lot of people will be thinking, what if I make a mistake? What if I don't say what I'm supposed to say? What if I make get it wrong? So it comes back to just do it. Just trust yourself. Do your research. If you're following that format system, you will have information. You will utilize metaphors. You will utilize analogies, case studies, statistics. If you notice today, I've used statistics. So I've kind of used stories, and I've covered every gamut of that format system. So it really comes back to personal leadership and just trusting yourself.
I love that. That was a great takeaway, and I love how we came full circle back to thought leadership and the brand, and being aligned with the company, the corporate brand, as well as with your own brand and putting it out there. So that was I love how we came full circle with that. That was perfect and right on time too. So there's so many great takeaways I'm going to make sure that we capture after this. But I'd love for you to, again, can you tell us a little bit more about if anybody's interested in what you do or how you help companies and where they can find you? And of course, now everybody's going to want to connect with you on LinkedIn to read all these great long thought leadership posts and to follow that. But yeah, we'd love to know a little bit more about how to stay in touch or where we can find you.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for that, Jenny. So my website is, I know it's a bit of a mouthful, but it's www.bernadettemcclelland.com. If you go there, you'll all my social media. I'm Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook. I'm on all forms of social. So please connect with me there. And from my website, you can, I have a newsletter that goes out as well. But look, please reach out to me. It's so easy to reach out today, and I'm coming across to Atlanta in May, the beginning of May, so I'll be there for a couple of weeks meeting with some businesses. So if anybody wants to take advantage of my being there at that time, please reach out. But yes, from a how I can help people, it's for sales leadership, sales people, sales teams, and really just aligning their corporate goals with the revenue potential that's out there, jump-starting sales, and looking at the leadership that's necessary to underpin any sustainable results.
Wonderful. Well, again, thank you so much. And everybody, thank you very much for listening to this. I'm Jenny Munn with BMA Atlanta. Please do check out our website, bmaatlanta.org. So with that, Bernadette, I will let you, are you going to go back to bed, or are you going to start your day now?
Oh, no, I'm this morning, so I'll go grab a coffee, and I'll fill in the next hour quite easily.
All right, wonderful. Well, thank you again for joining us, and thank you, everybody out there. Have a great day.
Thanks. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.